So yes, I'm going to start my own hotel in Thailand, in Phuket. This is actually the property or part of the property up behind me. Well, it's not quite a hotel, it's not quite a guest house, it's not quite an Airbnb. These days, the definitions of these things have changed so much, and that old hotel business that used to operate even 5 or 10 years ago pre-COVID has radically changed. And luckily, I've been able to do 3 or 4 years of research before I embark on this project, and I hope to pass on some of the wisdom to you over the next 3, 4, 5 months. Hopefully we're going to be open in September, but we're going to be presenting a warts and all display of exactly what's happening all the way through the project. Welcome to my very own Best Exotic Phuket Marigold Hotel, or whatever it's going to be called. Just as a very quick bit of background, I saw this movie about 10 years ago called The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, the idea of outsourcing retirement. And I thought, wow, Phuket's a perfect place to do that. By the way, the movie I think is on Disney Hotstar, highly recommended, lovely movie. But as the whole project progressed and we eventually found a place that we thought we could turn into a Phuket Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, we decided rather than just attracting the sort of retirement crowd, that we'd make it open for everybody, and it's going to be a sort of more themed hotel where each room's got its own theme. More about that in coming weeks, but that's the original inspiration for this idea. So one of the things I want to cover over the next few months is exactly what is a hotel these days in Thailand. There is a Hotel Act, but the definitions are quite opaque. And for us, we sort of fall somewhere in the cracks between guest house and hotel, and we're still wading through exactly what we're going to be classified as. So the legals are actually very important to make sure you've got your ducks in a row. And so there's been a lot of work in the preceding months before we decide exactly how we're going to open as a legal structure. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of work to do, but I'm glad to report that most of it is cosmetic. This place hasn't been lived in for nearly 8 years, apart from the odd visit by the owners. Okay, that's going to need a repaint up there. A nice sala. We've got lawn down here. I'm not sure how much of this we're going to keep. And then this part of the property, as we move over here, we've got a pool. I think it needs a little bit of a clean. But this area that we're now looking at is going to be a cafe, which we're going to run independently, although it's part of the same business, which all looks over the fantastic view. So as we look out to the distance there, we do have a magnificent view right out across Phang Nga Bay. I can imagine some very nice evenings here, just perched on this particular lawn, looking out across the bay and the view. And where I'm looking now is exactly where the sun rises and the moon rises at most times of the year. So the property sprawls out across 3 levels. We've got the lower level down there, the middle level rooms, and there's 1, 2, 3 apartments in total there. Got a huge kitchen and living area there. And then up the top, we've got an enormous 2-bedroom apartment. Well, actually, it's a penthouse. Well, it's fairly clear to see that the place needs a lot of work, but it's mostly cosmetic. The place, as we say in the industry, has got good bones, but there's going to be 3 or 4 days with a steam cleaner before we even start painting. Now, if you're interested, we're actually going to paint the whole place white, just pure white everywhere. It's all, sounds a bit like Stewie Griffin there. Yes, it's going to be painted white. And I think that'll be really easy to care for, because once you've got that classic white paint, it's just a retouch. Anytime you've got a colour, you have to match the colour, and that can always be quite dicky. And we're heading now out to the back of the property. We're now at the back of the property, and this is sort of the car park area where we've got 11 car spots, Again, it needs a good steam clean, and down the bottom of the property there are another 11 car spots plus a garage and a cement area that we don't even know what we're going to do with at the moment. We've already been fixing the gutters up the top, so work on the property's already started, just fixing some of the things that need to be fixed before we start accepting guests. There's also a gatehouse, a guardhouse, but I really don't want to be looking too much at that at the moment. That's a project in another few months. Again, it's mostly cosmetic. It just needs a really good clean and paint, and it should be back to new. So there's actually two roads that head into the property from below and from above, plus a lot of stairs, so it's certainly going to be good for my fitness. Now, let's have a quick talk about the current situation in Phuket. So we're in a really unpredictable situation here in Phuket at the moment, and probably as we start entering the wet season or the low season this year, people would say you're insane starting off any new enterprise at this time of the year. But as I said, we're opening in September. Hopefully that will give us maybe 2 or 3 months to get the wrinkles ironed out before we actually open for the high season 23-24. But it is going to be a challenge because we know now that Phuket had a really good high season, but a lot of those people were coming out of Russia. I mean, that's just the facts. What happens with that situation long term, we really don't know. But what about the people that used to come to Phuket in the past? Are they going to return? The airfares are very expensive at the moment. Are they going to start coming down? I probably don't think so. So the situation for accommodation on this island, and it's oversaturated. I mean, people built for the 2019 tourist numbers, and well, there's a good percentage of those hotels which still remain closed. So why would you start your own? It's all going to be a point of difference about why we're different. And we'll be going over that over the next few months to show you how we think we're going to attract people where a traditional hotel maybe not be able to attract the numbers of tourists they need to remain open at the moment. Now, there's only a total of 7 huge, really large apartments in this property. It's not like a 300-key hotel or anything. But let's, before we go, just go to this area over here, which has caused a lot of discussions over many, many nights to decide what we're going to do with it. So this is the area next to the swimming pool, a huge, large, open, unair-conditioned area. And as you can see, some water even gets into it from time to time. But it's a really cool area. It's around about 12 metres by 5.5 metres. And we just didn't know what to do with it. As you can see in the distance there, it looks out across that same fantastic view. So the question was, what are we going to do with it? Well, what we've decided is that we're going to actually open our own cafe, which we're going to operate under the same management as the hotel, guest house, resort, whatever you want to call it. We were looking at actually just offering the area and taking a commission from a restaurant or a cafe contractor. But we've decided after doing all the numbers, again, months and months of numbers and consultations and discussions with people and pages of spreadsheets, we're actually going to run it as our own cafe. So it's a whole project in itself and it's got its own budgets. So we hope to go through that in coming weeks with you as well. So as I'm getting progressively moist here on this rather humid day, I'll answer this final question as to what I hope to get out of this. Ultimately, there's a certain amount of lifestyle involved in that question, but there's also a need to run it as a business and to make a profit. It's a big challenge, and people would say, Tim, why the hell are you going into the hotel industry? You don't know anything about it. Well, I have done so much research over the last 2 years and spoken to so many people, I feel like I do have quite a level of competence to at least have a running start at this particular project. There's certainly an amount of business acumen I think you need to have, and I've run businesses by myself in the past, and I know the idea of making more money than you're spending, and so the spreadsheets and the importance of actually making a profit at the end of the day are sealed into the whole project. But I'm going to share this with you. I know I'm going to run into problems. There's going to be problems when I get down to the other public servants and start applying for this and that. And we're going to be buying stuff and some of it won't turn up. And I want to share those experiences with you as well. Next week, I'm going to take you into some of the rooms to show you how huge they are and why I see such potential in this project. But that's it for today. Thank you for dropping in. We're going to do this every Saturday. I'm going to try and update you as we go along the project. If you've got any questions, please send them to timnewtontoday@gmail.com. I'll do my best to try and answer them as we go through this hotel project together.